I'm here today in one of the Phoenix, Arizona points of pride, which is the South Mountain Park here in South Phoenix. The park comprises over 25 square miles and is the largest city park in the whole country. Very impressive. You can see behind me a lot of the radio towers in Phoenix. The stations have decided to put them on South Mountain, and at night you can see them blinking up. It looks kind of almost holographic. There are a lot of chuckwallas in the park here, which is an animal I'd never heard of until today. But the park itself, like I mentioned, is over 20,000 acres, 25 square miles. It was bought in 1924 by the city of Phoenix during Calvin Coolidge's administration in 1924 for a grand total, get this, $17,000. Unbelievable what that would cost today. But it is truly a jewel here in the desert. The topic for today, should medical marijuana be considered a gateway drug? You know, there's been a theory postulated over the last few decades that people who use marijuana then become much more likely to go on to abuse illicit drugs such as heroin, cocaine, or LSD. But the theory has never gone past being a theory. It's never been proven into reality. Let me give you an example of a great analogy for how this theory comes into play. Let's look at motorcycle riders, which we'll call cocaine users, just for the analogy, versus bicycle users, bicycle riders, and we'll call those marijuana users. In this country, there are exponentially more bicycle riders, marijuana users, than there ever were or will be motorcycle riders, which we'll call, the cocaine users, okay? So marijuana is by far the most commonly abused illegal drug in this country. Even though it's legal medicinally in 15 states, it's still federally illegal. So if that's the analogy for bicycle riders, there are way more, okay? So doesn't it stand to chance that if a person starts riding a motorcycle in their adult years, that they've ridden a bicycle previously or currently? It just stands to reason. It doesn't mean that if you ride a bicycle as a kid, it's then a stepping stone or a gateway into becoming a motorcycle rider. So the analogy doesn't have a causation, meaning one leads to the other. It's just an overlap of, oh yeah, I'm a motorcycle rider now, and the example is I'm a cocaine user now, not personally, I'm just throwing that out there, the analogy. Therefore, the cocaine user must have used marijuana before, the motorcycle rider must have ridden a bicycle. It just doesn't hold up. Another theory that's been postulated as a gateway for the reason is that in animal studies, they've looked at giving THC, which is the psychoactive component, along with cannabinoids in marijuana, that it somehow primes the brain of animals or humans, that it makes more dopamine available, and it primes the brain to then become accustomed to that a feeling, so therefore more people are likely to then step into or go through the gateway into harder drugs. But in actuality, that never happens. It doesn't prime it for anything. So that didn't hold up to snuff either. So when they look at the National Institute of Drug Abuse back in the 90s, looked at the amount of marijuana users in this country, which at the time was 72 million. Now, with the increase in population, it's probably closer to 100 million. They looked at the amount of those folks who actually went on to become cocaine users on a regular basis, and the answer was way less than 1%. So it's not like there's a yes causation, if this, then that kind of a thing. It just doesn't exist. So it is a myth, and the myth is now busted. So marijuana is not a gateway drug. Becoming a patient for medical marijuana is not going to suddenly cause you to jump into a world of illicit drug use for cocaine and heroin and all those other nasty things. Our doctors at Arizona MMC are licensed, qualified, very compassionate and knowledgeable, and can help you with your evaluation to see if you're qualified with your debilitating condition for medicinal marijuana. The website is ArizonaMMC.com, and the phone number toll-free is 855 AZ-IDCARD. Thank you very much.